Hello YouTube, this is Oliver Sherman. Welcome to my second video of my new channel, Oliver Sherman 2. In case you did not see my last video, it is called What If the Central Powers Won World War One? And in case you did not know, I have another channel called Oliver Sherman, which also discusses alternate history and real history events. I'd highly recommend checking both that video and that channel out. Because my last video was about a scenario where Germany and the Central Powers win World War One, I thought I would make this video about a scenario where Germany wins World War Two. So here we go. Let's set the scene. It's September 1939. Germany has invaded Poland, just like it would have done it in our timeline. 2 days after their invasion, on September the 3rd, Britain and France declare war on Germany, also just like in our timeline. And also the same as in our war, the Soviets invade Poland on September the 17th. Poland is divided in half between the Germans and the Soviets. The Germans also control the Polish capital of Warsaw. So what changes in 1939? Let's say that unlike in our timeline where Britain and France don't do anything about the German invasion, they actually decide to take action and send troops and bombers over to Poland. However, the German and Soviet armies combined are strong enough to withstand the British and French troops and swiftly push them out of the Polish mainland and into France. In this situation, not only are Britain and France fighting against Germany, but also the Soviet Union. This has effectively made the Soviets a part of the Axis powers. With a Russian ally, the Germans are now certain that they'll push the Allies out of France. Now it's 1940. The British and French armies are pushed into Dunkirk, just like in our timeline. Now, not just German, but also Soviet dive bombers are hitting the Allied armies on the beaches. An evacuation is attempted by the British, just like in our timeline, although it goes disastrously, because of the fact that there are two armies now on their tails. A lot less troops make it across the channel than in our timeline, meaning that the Allied armies are a lot more depleted than they would have been in our war. Now it's 1941. Germany does not invade the Soviet Union. Now that they are officially allies, they'll have to delay their invasion for another couple of years. Hitler had originally planned to invade the Soviet Union no matter what, but now that they are officially part of their pact, he has no choice but to stick to their original deal until his armies are strong enough to take on the Russians. Also, the Japanese still would have attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th, just like in our timeline. This would have also, just like in our world, have brought the United States into the war on the side of the Allies. Now it is 1942. The North African campaign is in a stalemate. No side has taken any ground since the beginning of the campaign, with US, British, French, and other allied nations now fighting the Germans, Italians, and Soviets in the African mainland. There is no real way to break through. Now it is 1943. The Soviets have decided to pull their troops out of Africa to strengthen their defences against an inevitable invasion by the Germans. This pushes the Axis powers out of Africa, as they are now too weak to take on the Allies. Furious with this decision to pull out of Africa, Hitler decides to kick the Soviets out of their alliance, and he invades Russia. 1944. The Allies attempt a D-Day invasion on June 6th, although with defences much stronger than in our own timeline, and let's just say the Italians also join the Germans in defending the French mainland. The Allies are swiftly pushed out of France and back towards Britain. 1945. Let's just say that for some reason Hitler has taken Moscow, and the Russian government is now in exile in Siberia. The Russians are pushed further back into their homeland. How this would have occurred, I do not know. But let's just say all the Axis nations combined, so Britain, Italy, and Japan, all unite in defeating the Russians. The Germans and Italians from the west, and the Japanese from the east. This is a very unlikely situation, however, but let's just say for argument's sake this occurs. 1946. Let's just say the Russians have now by this time surrendered. Joseph Stalin has been executed, and Britain has decided to surrender, seeing the inevitable outcome of the war in Europe. Now, any remaining Allied nations have fled to the US. Seeing the disadvantage of the Allies, the Axis now decide to do a full-scale invasion of Northern America. By late 1946, the Axis invasion of the United States and Canada begins. The Japanese take on the West Coast, and the Germans and Italians take the East. With the Japanese now pushing the Americans and other allies out of the western coast, and the Germans and Italians pushing the allies out of the west, the Allies have no choice but to surrender. The Second World War has now ended with an Axis victory. Sorry if this was a bit generalised. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.